All right, Sistas fans, hope everybody's doing well. Here's the episode review for Season 6, Episode 12, entitled Daydreams. Now, during my live stream, some people felt the score I gave was a bit too high, but I think a 6 out of 10 is a fair score. I personally don't think this episode was as good as the full Season 5 premiere, but I think it was decent. It's just that, it's like I said in my video leading up to Season 6B. Zatima Season 2B set the bar so damn high, that it's really hard to compete. But I think that one of the things that hindered the episode was a lot of time devoted to the Maurice. I'll just call it the Maurice storyline because that includes the Q stuff, the bail money, by extension, including bio. So I'll talk about that stuff first, and then I'll talk about the other, elements of the episode. So before moving forward, shout out to June BLC, a fellow YouTuber who is also going through the same demonetization issues that I thankfully just managed to crawl out of last week. If you can follow her on YouTube, I know she will appreciate it. I believe she has a new channel. Again, just like me, she created a second backup channel where she's trying to reach the required watch time in order to get monetized. So I mentioned this in the live stream and I'm doing it in the episode review. Go over to June BLC's YouTube channel, and I believe she will have information on her new channel where you can check that out, because this demonetization crap is something that's affecting a lot of YouTubers, and it's a hassle. What a way to close out 2023. But please do me a favor as well by liking and subscribing. Since the channel just got out of demonetization, things are a bit sluggish because the algorithm isn't pushing out my videos like it used to. Basically, you liking the content, you leaving comments, subscribing, all of those things will help the channel, revitalize itself. So make sure you have the bell notification icon turned on so all notifications come through, so you're made aware whenever I post content, whether it be community tab post, videos, or go live. So with that being said, let's jump into the episode. Sorry about my squeaky computer chair, but okay. I'm just going to talk about the Maurice stuff first, get that out of the way. Over at the police station, you got Calvin being petty, and I did a video about this. They did a sneak peek where you got Calvin and Sabrina. They're waiting because it's been quite a while, apparently, of Maurice being in the back, and the lawyer that Bio had hired to help hasn't shown up. Sabrina's been blowing up his phone, but he isn't coming, apparently. And while Calvin is petty as hell, he apparently is right. It's like, do you think Maurice is right about that African? But luckily, Sabrina kind of toughened up and put Calvin in his place. So look, stop saying that his name Bio, because Calvin's still in his feelings about the whole thing. And it's kind of ironic because it gives me the Gary vibes from later in the episode, not to jump too far ahead, but with Gary trying to issue a warning to Andy about the dating app, and it's like, you're being condescending, but you're not being genuine. It's hard to tell if you're being one or the other or both, because, well, that's how it is. But essentially, Maurice is in the back. You got Logan and his superior, the DA, and they're listening to Maurice give his story. And basically, we know Maurice is willing to just put himself on the line in order to get Sabrina off scot-free. But it's funny because this DA character is one of my favorite characters now, believe it or not. And it's like one of my biggest tweets of Wednesday night. The fact that this character in less than 5 minutes showed more intelligence regarding this entire storyline than everybody else involved. Sabrina, Calvin, Q. Well, not even Q. I wouldn't even, well, yeah, Q to an extent. Maurice, just everybody involved in this entire bank robbery storyline has been morons for the past 3 seasons, but this DA was able to see right through the bullshit. And it's like, look, his confession is flimsy. He doesn't know any of the individuals who were hired for the job. He's obviously just trying to save this Sabrina person, but it makes no sense whatsoever. I need to see that Quincy guy because, his story, I don't think this isn't legit, man. Logan, you're just trying to do it for a promotion. So eventually Maurice is released, and the lawyer didn't come. But then, of course, he wanted to stay, and I'm just thinking, fine, Sabrina, Calvin, just leave his ass. If he wants to stay and try to convince that DA, then just do it, because this is ridiculous. Then, Logan kind of steps up to Sabrina thinking that, I know you're going to get, I'm going to get you for this, right? So it's like, what's this witch hunt? Is it personal or what? But eventually we get to the end of the episode where Bio is called over by Sabrina. He's happy to see her, but she wants to talk to him about the fact that lawyer didn't show up. She wants to get to the bottom of it. Is it because he's gay that you didn't want to help Maurice? And he points out how, your friend wouldn't make it 2 hours in my home country. And it's like, I don't like him. And I don't know, it just feels really forced to possibly make him homophobic, but whatever the case may be, then he switches gears to how the money situation came about. Like, the only reason I put up that money was to help you out because you wanted me to do it. Other than that, I wouldn't have helped him. And if he needs any further assistance, then, he can get his own lawyer, because I got the lawyer to help if he was able to make time to do it. So it's like, oh, okay, I see how it is. And not to mention, based off of Maurice's conduct in his office, I don't really blame him. But hey, if you go back to that episode, you know what I'm talking about. So he mentions how that money was an investment. And wait, do you mean sleep with you? Yes, I do expect that. Wow. And so you can marry me because you'll be one of my wives. In my home country, when I give loans, if you loan money to the family of a woman, then that woman is obligated to marry you. And I'm thinking, first of all, Bio, this is the US of A, so I'm not sure that your country laws apply here, even though you are a prince. So I feel like that was an interesting way to end the episode, that's for sure. But another thing to talk about is, look, before the multiple wives situation, which we all kind of figured out if you go back to the episode where he was kind of, just looking Danny up and down during the double date, it's like, yeah, he probably has a harem of women or something like that in his home country. But before, like, if you subtract the multiple wives thing, okay, say Bio is homophobic. And look, this is a question I raised on Twitter and during the live stream. Do you think Sabrina would she be better off just sticking with Bio and leaving Maurice altogether? Because when you really think about it, I don't think Maurice has ever been that good of a person / friend to Sabrina for her to stick her neck out for him as much as she has. Most of their entire dynamic since season 1 has been him being a lousy employee, her being, his boss, calling her out of her name, ripping on her outfits, just talking down to her. Yeah, there have been a couple of sentimental moments, but those were way too few and far in between. So honestly, I think it's a situation where Sabrina might just be better off dropping Maurice like a bad habit. I mean, look at the situation that they're in right now. It's because of Maurice. Seriously, it's all because of him. And now when you look at the Bio situation, I'm not blaming Maurice for that part. Sabrina was the one that opted to borrow that kind of money and be so naive to think that, oh, he's just a nice guy. He's going to loan me that money and not expect anything in return. No. I mean, when you really go back to it, another reason I think Bio loaned the money was because he knew that was the only way to get Sabrina to pay attention to him. Because remember, she was so just depressed over the Maurice situation that she was like, oh, I don't have time to, think about going out on a date with you or anything. So it's just one of those situations where Sabrina, come on, that's like well, then again, I was a naive college student or high school student myself when I signed for them student loans. But yeah, even I knew that at some point, payment would be required and interest would be a bitch. So it's not like I went in that completely naive thinking there would be no repercussions. But I mean, you got guys who will take out girls on a date and then just expect sex. Oh, we went to the movies. Now you owe me sex or something, or coffee, a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You owe me sex. So to think that this guy would put up 1.5 million and you not expect there to be anything in return. Now, granted, what's the policy? He'll get the bail money back, so long as Maurice shows up for his hearing and whatnot. But at the same time, he put up that much money. Now, him expecting marriage and whatnot, that's way too much. But at the same time, um, she definitely didn't look at the the fine print on that contract. You know, Biles said he would do it for you, but you should have asked some questions there. You know, like, hey, what do I owe you? Like, what's going on? Like, what's the stipulations of this? So that was an interesting way to close the episode. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, I guess everything else. Yeah, we got to jump back to the beginning. Now, this was one of the best episode openings. I mean, if I didn't know this episode was entitled, okay, if I was somebody that didn't do this thing for a living where I had to look up information and report on it, if I went into this episode without knowing this title was Daydreams or what the future synopsis of the season were, you know, I would have assumed like, oh my gosh, this is real, because Tyler shocked me and a lot of other people when he actually showed us Fatima on the ground, shot, bleeding out, Zach running up the hallway, panicking, Andy panicking, the entire office going into a frenzy, which begs a lot of questions here. Like, so there's an active shooter. Everybody's just running around. Where the freak is security? Why are people running upstairs in the midst of the carnage? And it was just weird to me. Also, I love the camera angle where we do like a shot at the, no pun intended, we do a camera shot of the gun and it, pans up on Karen until she snaps out of her daydream. That was actually really good camera work. Tyler Perry outdid himself. But a few things about the shot, even though it was a daydream. One, I'm pretty sure that based off of the mid-season finale, Karen shot Fatima higher up on her body than her lower chest area. Also, I could have sworn she was shot on the opposite side. Okay, whatever. So from there, Fatima actually, okay, once we get back into the real world, Fatima actually apologizes to Karen for coming into her home the way she did, basically stating that, hey, I did want to speak to you woman to woman. Well, but then, you started calling me out my name with bitches and whatnot. Well, yeah, you brought it to my apartment. And yes, I apologize. And I'm just thinking, yeah, Fatima, I do think that's pretty big of you to apologize, but you couldn't expect to have a woman to woman talk when you just came into somebody else's house unannounced like that. That's just straight up rude. But I do applaud her for apologizing. But simply put, Karen just goes off about coming for Zach for all the money that he has, basically pulling a Heather. And something else is the fact she keeps egging them on. So, did you see the email? Did you see the results? Why? You just want to get a reaction? Yeah, I wanted to see your face when you saw it. And I'm just thinking, like, this woman is a piece of work. But honestly, is there really anything else to talk about? So, Aaron and Pam arrive on the scene moments later because, yet again, she's putting Andy in a position where she has to choose who her real friend is, and it's just ridiculous. We're doing the same song and dance, people. There really isn't anything to talk about here. However, Aaron does have an interesting conversation with Andy about Karen's behavior. Pam is kind of pushed aside. Oh, wow, this is because I'm not one of the sisters, huh? And I'm thinking, Pam, you have no idea. You might not be the most likable character. You do have your moments, but overall, you are so much better off for not being part of this toxic ass sister circle. And just kudos to you for having to deal with Karen on a day-to-day basis. But they discuss her erratic behavior because, they speak of, knowing of women who have been pregnant and how hormones and all can take, effect. But this is just something different altogether. But he does mention the most interesting part of the episode. He states that he saw the results of the paternity test and he's the father. And then Andy's trying to say, wait, so how did you figure this out? Don't worry about that. It's that doctor. So from there, Andy wants no part of it. It's like the more he asks questions, Andy's like, no. I don't want to talk about this. So from there, Andy calls Danny about another Karen intervention. And Danny points out that, hey, do you think Karen could possibly be playing both these guys, Aaron and Zach? And for all we know, could there be somebody else? Who knows? But they'll meet up later about it. So A brief detour, Gary and Hayden are going over some tax stuff, and he's still in his feelings about the Tamara situation. And he's asking Gary if he believes in love at first sight, because Hayden's like, you know what, man, I was actually pretty lonely for a long time. Yeah, I know you were like the fat geek in high school and whatnot, and now you're just trying to make up for lost time or something. But from there, he just leaves his office and goes to see Andy and talk about the dating app that she's on. Now, apparently, Gary knows the guy who owns the dating app site, which is a red flag. But he also states that, hey, that app might be kind of dangerous because there are several lawsuits that are, being held against the owner of the site. So, just be careful. Andy thinks this is just another attempt of him trying to control her like he always does. But then from there, Fatima comes in and they basically double team, kick him out of the office. So it turns out that Andy wants Gary to think that she's dating a bunch of guys. Good way to build a reputation for yourself. But, and not to mention, why would you even care what Gary thinks? If you're on the dating site and you're apparently moving on from Gary, why would it matter if he knew how many other guys you were dating? So, they then have a conversation about the DNA results because Fatima printed off a copy. And the test said that Aaron is not the father, but that doesn't mean Zach is the father because remember, there's no DNA. So from there, Andy at first doesn't want to tell Fatima about what Aaron said. And also the fact that, she kind of scoffs at Fatima's idea that there's actually a third man involved. It's like, oh, Karen's my best friend. She wouldn't be involved with anybody else without telling me. Yeah, Andy, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't. Okay, so I believe there's only 2 more scenes to talk about here. So first we go over to the airport. It looks like Danny is about to leave for the day. And a new character named Tony introducing himself. Turns out he's a co-worker who works, in another part of the airport. And he knows Danny since they park next to each other in the parking lot at work. Apparently he has like a big black van. Red flag? Who knows? But in any case, he's like that one person who goes on social media, looks up your information and regurgitates it to you, and you're creeped out. It's kind of like, okay, why do you know so much about me? Apparently it's because, he overhears a lot of Danny's talking, when they're parked next to each other, because we know Danny's a loud person, and especially when she's had a couple hits of her, her pen. But yeah, that's how he knows a lot about her. The music she listened to, because she's blasting music a lot. Is like, look, I love all the same music as you, except for that country though. I don't really rock with country. And he knows all of like her friends' names and the Preston guy. It's like, bro, Danny was willing. It looked like you two were about to hit it off, when you first introduced yourself. But then when you started rattling off everything you knew about her, that's when you entered creepy territory. So, she turns him down for a drink, but he does mention, hey, I want to be at Juniper's at 10 o'clock, just one drink. If you change your mind, that's where I'll be. But she's like, I'm actually seeing someone, but we know these two are going to start interacting in the future. We do. But she does call Sabrina and, wants an update on the situation about, the police station. But long story short, they're all heading to Karen's for that little intervention. So we do know that, and I mentioned this in the trailer breakdown, I don't know the location of the spot that Andy's going for her blind date, where Sabrina and Danny are going to watch over her. If that place is Juniper's, I wonder if that includes Tony as well. Just saying. Then the final scene, Zach and Fatima's house. So Fatima comes in, and I love this conversation. It's a subtle one. When you really think about it, we didn't get that much Zatima on this episode. That's okay, though. We just had a full season 2B, but at the same time, Zach brought up a good point. He's been sitting there wondering if the shoe was on the other foot, and if Fatima was the one who had all this baby daddy drama going on, would he stick with her? And it's like, well, I don't know if I'll be that gracious, but he eventually says that he would still do it, but I don't know. I don't think, you know how it is in the real world, where a man can have the higher a man's body count, the more revered he is, so to speak. But the higher body count a woman has, the more looked down upon she is. So I don't know. Zach says he would still stick by her, but I honestly don't think that he would. Because you got to look at it. Zach has come in many different personas from season 1. In a lot of ways, he's still the same, but he has changed in some respects as well. But I don't think he would stick with Fatima. I'm just saying. But one of my favorite bits is when they bring up dinner and then Zach's like, I don't know, I'm not even hungry because how am I supposed to sit down and eat not knowing if my son is, having a meal tonight? And then Fatima suggests they go over to Heather's if he really wants to see his son. It's like, yeah, well, Heather's at work right now. So what, her sister should be over there watching Michael. So maybe we could just go over there for a quick visit. But it's funny because based on the promo, Zach is telling Fatima in this episode, hey, now you promised me that you ain't going to fight nobody. I'm not going to fight anybody today. Hey, leave your purse. You're pushing it, Zach. So they decide to go over to the apartment. But that's pretty much it. That was episode 12 in a nutshell, Daydreams. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.